On my screen right now is a man who has dedicated his life to helping those who can't help themselves. That's really what it's about, right?
Absolutely.
And your name again is you are.
My name is Matt Lyson. My wife Teresa and I founded Michigan Duck Rescue and Sanctuary, helping domestic ducks that have been abandoned and abused.
Okay. Why do that? Because there you don't have to. You didn't have to, I'm sure, but what prompted you to do that?
Well, in hindsight, you're right. We didn't have to, but we did, and it's something that when you get involved, you go in all the way, and it's a costly venture. But we see the satisfaction and the gratification when we see an animal that was dumped in the wild that doesn't belong out there. It's dying. We get it. We bring it here. We see it with a new life, and it's all the rewards you could ask for.
Wow. And you're in Washtenaw County, Michigan?
Correct. Correct.
Okay. Do you travel all over to help to
We,
go get?
we've rescued domestic. The fact I just came back a few days ago, I went up to Indian River, Michigan. I took a 3.5 hour drive and I rescued with the help of some on-site volunteers that have never done it before. We've rescued 4 domestic ducks that were dumped in Burt Lake State Park that nobody was able to help. So we went up there. So we go throughout Michigan. Haven't had to do anything in the UP yet, but we've actually done big rescues in Ohio and Indiana.
Okay, I think I got the pictures of them you put on Facebook right
Yeah,
there.
right. That's the Burt Lake over in Indian River, Michigan. Right,
Okay.
half-hour from the bridge.
So you have a place, not just like a little home in a neighborhood. You have a lot of acres.
Correct. We currently have about 5.5 acres, and we have abandoned house on one side, nobody living there, and we have a wonderful neighbor on the other side that absolutely loves what we do. She gets to sit out on her porch and see everything we have over here.
So none of your neighbors have an issue with, well, you don't have many neighbors, but the ones that are there, they have no issue with what you're doing.
Correct. Yeah, we have one across the street that really could care less, and one next to us that, again, loves what we do. She loves seeing what we have on the property. It sort of relaxes her.
Okay. So you're a 501c3 and you've been doing this since when did it really kick off? What year did you really start doing it?
Well, 2014, it was suggested that we should become a nonprofit, might help with some of the finances that we have. Well, it was actually a gateway more than for finances, but a way to give people an out for the ducks that they buy, domestic ducks that they buy at the feed stores that they really have no idea what they're getting into. So they either dump them either at a 2-week stage or a 2 stage or older. They dump them because they can't deal with it. They don't know what they got into. So then we get calls, and then we have a volunteer force throughout the state that pretty much.
Thank you everyone for being here, for watching. I'm an independent journalist. If you can help by following my YouTube page, all you have to do is click subscribe down below. It's free, and click the notification bell to get alerts when I post videos. Back to the interview.
Much acts as quickly as needed to round them up, and they bring them to the sanctuary where they live out their lives.
Cool. And there's been many stories about you. I Google your name and about how you've saved ducks. You've helped many people. You've done so many things over the years. I can see right here.
Thank you.
So when did there get to be a little bit of pushback or what's going on with the DNR? Is this just the last year or you've been dealing with
years and years ago when we became a little more popular in the state of Michigan for what we do? We would get notified of not just domestic ducks, but we would also get calls that, hey, there's a goose on the ice, a Canada goose that may have angel wing that's out there in the middle of winter that's literally starving to death. And we would go out there, we'd pick it up, we'd bring it to our property, we'd set it on the property and let it live out its life here. We have aerator pumps throughout the winter. We buy probably between 120 to 150,000 pounds of corn a year and probably 40,000 pounds of protein feed. So the bills are quite high. So we feed them at our expense. All of our domestic ducks, if necessary, go to a vet. We don't do anything with the wild duck or the wild ducks and geese. They pretty much live out in the wild. All we do for them is we give them a place to be able to live with water in the winter and sunshine in the summer.
Wow. So
And
when did you get pushback from people? Was it the state, or how'd that all come
well,
about?
there are typically, there's, everybody knows you got trolls on the internet that always get little upset that people do things that they don't like. So we've had some trolls make some reports to us to the DNR. Anytime there's a goose or swan problem, we're always mentioned in a post. Go to Michigan Duckers, call them. Well, even though we don't go out to most of the stuff because swans, they have their own special hatred from the DNR. But even when we're mentioned, the DNR gets notification from people that, oh, they were mentioned or they're doing this or that. So the DNR kind of keep an eye out on us. And as of late, about a year and a half ago, we were notified by the DNR. They paid us a visit with 3 cars and 3 individuals that came and wanted to see what we were doing. They got a call that we had a wild duck that we picked up, when actually it was a domestic ruin duck, which is often mistaken for a wild duck in the wild, but they're usually 2 to 3 times bigger than that. And most DNR agents do not know the difference that I've seen over the years between one or the other.
Yeah, I remember Ted Nugent speaking at the Capitol, and he was talking about how the DNR sometimes they don't know the difference between anything. Really.
I saw that interview. That was funny with the feral Russian pigs or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly right. They have no idea what they're looking at half the time. They follow marching orders from Lansing, and those people have no idea what waterfowl or any of the wildlife is out in the wild. It's pretty sad because they have people in those positions that should not be there.
So what is the deal? Are they there? Do you have permits, or how does that whole
No,
work?
back in 2022, when we realized first, when they came out, well, you can't have this stuff without permitting. Well, we tried to get permitting in 2022. It was a situation where DNR dragged his feet. And just to interject, I've recently heard from someone in the field close to the DNR that the DNR is really not wanting to have anybody deal with domestic geese in the state of Michigan. It's something that we believe that's one of the reasons a permit might have been in push was. So, but we have, but we were called, and I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there. So,
No, that's fine. Yeah, what do you have what do you have to have? Is that what their deal is? You don't have a permit?
yeah, so we filed in 2022. We tried to file, but we could never get the response to be sure what we exactly needed. We've tried, they didn't respond. So then in 2023, DNR, like I say, they came out, and we've continued to try to get our permit. And because we realized that we couldn't have them legally on the property. So we did find out that there was a collector's permit that you could get, which is an educational permit, which would allow us to keep non-releasable waterfowl on the property. So if a rehabber gets a goose, they can't fix it, they would be able to bring it to us if we had the permit. Well, you can't get that permit unless you have the state permit. Then you have to get a federal permit. Then you get the collector's permit. But if the state stops you, they stop the progress completely. I have all the certification and teaching requirements to have this done. To their dismay, because they've been hoping to stop us a lot more quickly. But I have all the credentials to be able to do this program. But we just got a denial letter today from the DNR that they're refusing to give us a permit on the conditions of some very minor issues that they won't even allow us to correct. It was a one-time visit. They said, and my attorney has asked several times, can we have an update? What's going on? What can we do to fix whatever issues we may have? Well, we got the denial letter today, and no second chances. It was a one and done, because they know we have a court date coming up on the 20th, and they sent us in the denial letter that we have 30 days to have all the all the wild Canada geese that we've saved on the property, who are just roaming the property, not confined in any way, not confined by any fencing on one portion of the property. And they want to come on the property and euthanize all of those that have lived here for some many years.
Is the court situation related to the permit that was denied? Is that related?
Yes, the court felt, once the DNR filed on us about a year and a half ago, we had the arraignment, we had the pretrial, and the prosecutor said if we can get the permit, they would throw out the case. Well, really tried to get the permit sped up. We've done everything. They've dragged their feet for probably, I think it's 4 months until we got the denial letter today. And all along prior to the DNR saying about 2 months ago, they have the permit. They just need to check the facility. They've pushed back on us at every issue. They say we're not qualified for this. We disprove that. We're not qualified for that. We disprove that with factual information. So then they had no choice but to process the permit. And their only way out was to come out and say there was problems on the property that didn't match what they needed for the IWRC.
The court case that's happening in a few weeks, that's related to the permit. So are you automatically going to lose the case because they denied your permit?
Well, we don't know. I have to talk to my attorney this afternoon. He's been in class all day. That's what we have to discuss the plan. But the situation was, if we got the permit, they would drop the charges. So now we have to go to trial and disprove what they've accused us of doing, and by whatever means necessary, through the law, and then hope that the jury is sympathetic to what we do and that nothing really illegal was done. And then I don't know what happens if we get a not guilty, if they still come out and kill everything. We just don't know what they're going to do. But I got a letter when we got the permit denial today. It also said we have 30 days and all the animals are to be euthanized. So I don't know if they're waiting till the court date on the 20th to get the same result. But they and because of Michigan law, DNR has the authority to go on your property without a warrant or permission currently. And we don't know what their plans are, if they're going to show up tomorrow morning, tonight, whatever, with a bunch of trucks and just gather everything up and slaughter them, euthanize them in a very horrific way.
So you're not in danger of going to jail, right?
That does not seem to be an issue because of being a misdemeanor. Who knows what you never know what's going to happen. But we have done nothing criminal. So, it's even funny, just a quick tidbit. When we were on the Zoom call, we had probably 20, and I'm going to say criminals before us on the Zoom call for the court. And when we were called and it was presented as here, this couple wants to save animals and, they don't have a permit. You could hear people in the background just laughing. I mean, all these criminals, and here we are helping animals. I didn't know you could be in a position to help an animal and be prosecuted. Do you know that?
Are they claiming that? What is their? They denied the permit. What are they saying that you're doing? Are you hurting why did they deny it? What was their reason?
Well, because you have to have certain things to abide by in the guidelines, and the guidelines are set up by the International Wildlife Council. And one of the things that's funny, one of the things they said is because our pens back up to our domestic ducks, even though they can't see them, which when you're rehabbing a wild animal, it can't be seen it can't commingle with other species. So we had, and then it's funny, when they came out, they said, well, we don't know if that's going to be an issue or not. So the guys coming out didn't even know if this would be an issue. Once they left, I called IWRC, the International Wildlife Council, and I asked them specifically if domestic noise is going to be an issue. One of the things the DNR wasn't sure about. And they said, absolutely not. They even sent us email. So now the DNR actually has that in the denial letter that they can hear domestic ducks. So they don't even care that the IWRC, who does the actual guidelines and said that this is okay, the DNR actually used that as one of the reasons they denied us.
So do you think even if you do everything they want, they're still not going to give you the permit?
Oh, I believe that, because they didn't even give us it doesn't even say, well, correct these things in 10 days or 5 days and we'll give you the permit. They didn't give us any second chance at all. And there were some things like, we didn't have ramps in these little kiddie pools, and we don't have ramps because we don't have any pets, or any domestic ducks. I'm sorry, any wild geese in there or ducks yet. So we don't have that set up, but we had all the things there that they required.
Wait a minute, ramps for who? The ducks?
If we took a Canada goose, and you have to have a certain size pen. Okay, you have to have a pen for them. You have to have small, intermediate, and large cages. In those cages, you have to have a certain pool for them to be in, and the pools have to have a ramp. We're talking about a pool that's 12 to 14 inches high. So you have to have a ramp for a Canada goose to get in and out. We didn't have the ramp set up, but we had them there. So these
Wow.
are trivial things they're pulling out on us because I really believe they don't want anybody helping Canada geese. There's nobody in the state right now that we are aware of that will help a Canada goose. I'm talking licensed rehabbers. Not one person in the state that I'm aware of that will help a Canada goose that's injured because of the bird flu potential and the scare that it represents or
So in
presents.
the end, so you just want to help, just to help, and that's it. And the average person would say it just doesn't make sense. What do you do? I mean, so they could literally come onto your property after 30 days and
No,
euthanize them all?
within 30 days.
Oh,
But they could come out, they could have them group marching at my gate today. Even though when they came a year and a half ago or less, they came with 3 trucks and apparently they saw issues that they had, but they didn't take but one animal. They could have taken whatever they thought was bad. They could have taken it that day. Why else would you bring three DNR agents in 3 different vehicles and come for one duck? You
so
know,
they could show up tomorrow morning on just without a warrant and just euthanize the animals.
that's my understanding. Round them up and euthanize them off site.
Wow.
Yeah,
So what
it's
and
kind
there
of bad. It's disgusting.
what do you I guess in that case there's nothing you can do, right?
We don't know if we can get a court order to stop it. By the time we did, the DNR is an organization in Michigan that has no oversight. They have people running it that haven't got a clue of what's going on in the real world, but they have no oversight. So they have nobody to tell them no. Okay, they're basically a police force. You know, it's funny because they say in one word, in one sentence, that we're not a law enforcement agency, so we have the right to go on a property if we find out there's an issue. But right on their badge, right on their placard there, it's law enforcement, DNR law enforcement. So they use it to be convenient. When they want to say they're law enforcement, they have guns just like all the other law enforcement. So they should follow the same guidelines. So there's a bill trying to get passed through Congress right now that would allow them to have to obey all the laws that the state police. They have
Yeah.
more authority in Michigan than the state police have.
Yeah, the state legislature. So, have you been able to like if there was the head of the DNR listening, what would you tell them that basically you are just trying to what? Help these
Yeah, we're
birds.
not even rehabbing them. We are bringing them and letting them live on our property. That we're not doing any surgeries or any. If we find a goose out in the wild that has fishing hook on it, we will take the fishing hook off and re-release him. We deal with so many Canada geese over the years that are so bound in fishing line. When you take off the line, sometimes a foot will fall off. It's that bad. We try to make awareness of that. The DNR apparently doesn't even want you doing that. If you found a robin on your grass and he had a string around his foot and you grabbed that robin and you took that string around his foot, you would be breaking the law of the DNR because you've helped an animal. You've basically rehabbed it without permitting. So if you did anything like that, if you hit a window, you put him in a box, you're rehabbing an animal, the DNR could prosecute you for that.
Wow. I I,
Yeah.
I looked and I'm going to bring up on the screen the Detroit Free Press did an article on you back in 2021 that they, rescues duck, geese, swans. It seemed like a positive article focusing on what you were doing. Look at that right there. I don't know if that is that you?
Yeah, that's a white Chinese goose, a domestic goose. Yeah, that was a rescue.
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of good articles about you and people say great things. So does the DNR, where do you place the blame? Is it the people who are the trolls come after you or the DNR or is it
Oh, you could blame it on the trolls, but they're going to be there. The DNR has a right, and the prosecutor also. The prosecutor could say this is frivolous. They're doing good. They have the right to do that. Just like my friend Kelly from DAWG, who was prosecuted, persecuted from the
Yep.
same DNR. The prosecutor said, "Oh, I'm doing it because the DNR told me I have to." No, that the DNR, if the prosecutor is a decent guy, he can actually say, that no, this is ridiculous. Work something out. This is ridiculous. It's like the DNR runs the courts as well. but I blame it on the DNR because I can't tell you the number of times DNR agents, even senior agents, have been to the property, either bringing something by or just whatever, asking for some information. They've seen what we had on this property for years, many years. Nothing was done until probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago. That's when things really started to get heated. And we have taken nothing in the last couple of years since we knew at one point we could not take them in without the permit. That's what made me want to get the permit for the collectors so we could legally have. I've even had DNR agents say, why don't you get the proper permitting and we can leave you alone? We just have to answer any call, even if it's anonymous, we have to respond. I said, it's the same person calling you. Oh, we can't tell you that. I said, oh, you know who it is. I can tell you. Oh, no, we still have to answer. And they come out and they do it over and over. And they knew exactly what we have going on here. We've never, ever denied access to the DNR from coming on our property.
How many ducks, geese, swans, how many would they euthanize? Right? Like if they came there today, how many would they encounter?
I couldn't give you an exact number because we have open property so they could come and go. Yeah. So I wouldn't want to give you a figure, but we have one would be too many.
Wow. Okay. So hopefully maybe a lawmaker, the prosecutor, someone can step in and help. That's what you're hoping for?
A legislator.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if the governor could do something, put somebody in a position that's compassionate. The DNR is supposed to be an organization that is a conservation, supposed to help animals. And if somebody's out there willing to spend their time and money to do something bothering no one at all on their property that's completely isolated, they should not be harassed by the DNR.
Yeah, and now you're actually having to spend money for a lawyer and all that stuff.
Yeah, the cost we go through to do what we do. I could have easily a year ago said, I'm done with this. I don't need it. They would have had no charges, would have been over and done. But it comes to a point, there's principle.
Yeah. Wow. Well, keep me updated. Let me know. And I'd like to come out there at some point as well.
I'd love to have you. I'd love to have the prosecutor out here. I'd love to have the head of the DNR out here to see what we have. I mean, we're doing nothing but helping animals that would otherwise starve to death out on the ice.